Anti-Israel activist Mahmoud Khalil bringing a $20 million claim against the Trump administration. He says he was falsely imprisoned and faced malicious prosecution after taking part in campus protests while being here on a green card. Former Deputy Assistant DHS Secretary and former acting ICE Director Jonathan Fahey joins me now. Jonathan, I don't know much about the law, but I know this much. If you're going to sue the federal government, good luck with that. What say you?
Yeah, it's generally very difficult to successfully sue the federal government. And in this case, I think it's even particularly difficult because remember the case with Mahmoud Khalil. He's released on bond, but the Trump administration is still appealing that decision and appealing the decision of the district court and also seeking to deport him because the Secretary of State Marco Rubio determined his presence is adverse to American foreign policy, which is within the INA. So I think his problems are still going on with possibly being deported and also suing the federal government on things like false imprisonment, malicious prosecution. It's a very heavy lift. I think one of the most important points here, though, is it really just shows the difference between the Trump administration and the prior administration, meaning the Trump administration is removing people that they believe are a danger to the community or putting people in danger or adverse to our national interests, while the Biden administration did just the opposite and never even cared if somebody was adverse to our national interests or national security. But I do agree with you. I think it's a heavy lift for him on that. But his problems are not over with on the deportation issue, and I think that's still his biggest issue, that he may still very well be removed from the country.
Yeah, no question about that. By the way, I think it's important to point this out. He also says he will accept an apology. Now, he is justifying his claim by saying that the government is abusing its power because they think they're untouchable. And unless they feel there's some sort of accountability, this sort of abuse will continue to go unchecked. It's an interesting perspective on that, and I'm not so sure, even though he says he would take an apology, I'm not so sure how much water he's going to be able to tread with that. Meantime, a New Hampshire, that is, federal judge, Jonathan, is issuing a new nationwide block against President Trump's order seeking to end birthright citizenship. This is a district judge, Joseph LaPlante. He says the rapid adoption by executive order without legislation and the attending national debate of a new government policy of highly questionable constitutionality that would deny citizenship to many thousands of individuals previously granted citizenship under an indisputably longstanding policy constitutes irreparable harm, and that all class representatives could suffer irreparable harm absent an injunction. It's interesting because didn't we just tread this ground here? Didn't the Supreme Court weigh in on this, Jonathan?
Yeah, we sort of are in this world of like, here we go again.
Yeah.
I think what this judge is doing that makes it a little bit different is in Amy Coney Barrett's decision, they talked about, well, if you're a member of a class action, it's different than just simply a nationwide injunction where they say there's an issue before me and now my decision will apply to the entire country. To be a member of a class action, it's sort of a lengthy process where a judge has to determine that there is a class, that all the class has similar interests and other things like that. So presumably that's being done and that's why he's doing this. But I think he might have been able to thread that needle, or he tried to. But I think one of the important points is this will all become moot probably after the October argument where the Supreme Court is going to actually weigh in on the merits of the birthright citizenship issue. And there's a couple ways it could go. It could go with Donald Trump entirely, could go entirely against him. But there could be a middle ground where it says it's the role of Congress to determine what does it mean to be within the jurisdiction of the United States, because that's the core issue here. It's not just being born here, it's being born and being under the jurisdiction of the United States. Right. So ultimately the Supreme Court will weigh in on this issue, but it does seem like we're going back to the same world that the Supreme Court just ruled on 2 weeks ago about these nationwide injunctions.
तो रंजीत जी वहीं गैरेज में गाड़ी छोड़ देंगे तब आएंगे इधर।
हाँ, वहाँ खड़ा कर देंगे, खड़ा कर दे लंड सीधा ना जाएंगे हम लेट में, अपने सुनेगा बात।
वैसे है गवर्नमेंट जो है हम एम्प्लॉई हैं तो इन्हीं को ये करना चाहिए था, लेकिन एक दूसरे के ऊपर डाल देते हैं। अब के साहब शुरू से बना के रखे हैं ना इनको,
वही बात।
तो इनका हिम्मत थोड़े है कि आपको बोलें। कोई